Welcome to this episode of the Conspiracy Cast, right here on Tales of Earth. I still have to look at my notes. A show where we sit down, we three non-experts discuss a conspiracy of some kind. Then we decide whether or not we believe it and why or why not. That's redundant. We do this live on twitch.tv/eligiblemonster every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can also support us by subscribing to this channel and also find some Tales of Earth merch through the link below, or you can go to patreon.com/comicstorian where you can get early access to this show as well as other shows. We make other shows.
We do.
Oh.
I wasn't actually listening.
Oh, yes.
I was looking at your mug and then realized,
They can't see
you've
the
got
shirt, but they
you've
can
got
see
a
the
cold
mug.
drink in there.
Yes.
Because you can
Cold
see the
brew.
condensation of how full
I
the
really
cup
just
is.
need to buy some pods for my coffee maker over there.
Yes, you do. I believe you've had that coffee maker for almost a year.
I have, actually.
And
And I've never used
conspiracy.
it. So what do you guys know? Actually, before we begin,
Yes.
we have Dan.
Oh, yes.
We have a Dan. We found him down here drinking tea.
Yes.
And where can they find you, Dan?
They can find me at twitch.tv/DanTStreamer or on Twitter and Instagram at DanTProducer.
Yes, Andy.
You can find me at For I Am the Andy on Instagram, and that's it.
That's it. You can find me on YouTube at Film Circuit and Twitter at Film Circuit and Instagram at Northward Films. Too much social media.
There's so much that you had to catch your breath halfway through the sentence.
Yes. I won't even go into like Tumblr and Facebook. Is Tumblr still a thing?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I found your profile on Grindr.
Yeah.
Why were you on there
Don't worry
looking?
about it.
Don't worry about it. What do you guys know about
I realized the
immortality?
joke after,
Immortality.
What
do you know about
I
immortality?
know that Keanu Reeves
Yep.
is immortal.
He correct?
Yes.
Yep.
I know that there's another one in there. Paul Rudd, apparently
Yes.
also immortal.
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Clueless
Patrick
not
Stewart.
too long ago. Patrick Stewart.
I don't know. He's
Maybe
living
not
a little old
immortal.
these days.
He's like a Dunedain from Lord of the Rings, where they just have an expanded lifespan,
Elf.
Okay.
or like an elf. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, elves are like straight up immortal until they die.
I mean, I don't know what your definition of immortal is.
So like immortality. There's a couple different
They
versions.
can't age, but they can die.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can die by like external forces.
Right.
Yes.
But then they're like reincarnated.
That's how I
and
think
they,
Keanu is going to go.
by
has
external
been
forces.
External forces.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
it's definitely not going to
Oh,
be.
okay.
a
I don't know.
bad
Have you seen John Wick? That guy could definitely
That's
take on
true.
any external force.
So yeah, so we see immortality portrayed in comics, movies, books, and so on. One of the tenets of religion is to explain and promise some form of immortality. Whether through religion, biology, or technology, immortality is a constant search for humankind. Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody.
I don't know if I would want to be immortal.
I don't know that I would
personally.
either.
I feel like you would get really, and that is a
think
trope in a lot of fiction.
Yes,
is that
yes.
the longer you live, the more basically downright bored you get,
Right.
Bored and depressed.
and life really has no meaning. I feel it's death is what gives life meaning.
Yeah. Right.
Essentially.
You only do things, or you do a lot of things because of the fear of death.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and you also have to
Maybe
think
not
about like the
fear,
life
but-
cycle when you think about population.
Yeah.
Like the only reason we haven't completely, utterly overpopulated the earth
Just because people can die.
is people die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like I mean, what's the point in having children if everybody's just going to live forever?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, and so there's a lot of problems with
The
immortality,
idea
of
of
immortality.
immortality.
I think it's
Right.
the kind of immortality that is the issue. That's why I think like most religions appeal to people because it's an immortality that's not here.
Right. Your soul is immortal.
Yes.
And
Yes,
will
you're-
go to somewhere else to cross over
somewhere
somewhere
better,
else. Yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
eternal, somewhere like where you're not bound by physical restrictions and
Right.
things like that. Where like the earth is still like living and dying and growing and doing all these things. So the first question we need to answer when we talk about immortality, and we're going to get to the fun stuff soon.
Oh, good.
I promise.
Okay.
I promise. It does actually get really interesting. The first question we need to answer when it comes to mortality is, can humans become immortal?
No.
Do you think we can? You don't think we can?
In what term are we referring to?
Yeah, I was going to say, I would say it depends on the type of immortality we're discussing.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's a, do I think people will reach immortality, and I'm going to use an anime reference of Bond from Seven Deadly Sins, where he literally cannot die,
Yes.
or Bruce Banner cannot die. Like, they will always come back. Definitely not. Do I think we will reach a point where we will live forever?
Like literally won't age.
That's another one is if we don't age,
can we live forever? That's the question. Can we live forever?
Because are we excluding reincarnation? Because that's another one that people always consider is if you always get reborn, you're in a way technically immortal because it's always you getting reborn.
It's like a cloud atlas kind of thing.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. Do you think humans can become immortal in some form?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would think it would depend on I mean, I guess we could probably reach at some point technologically. I don't know. I guess it's not unreasonable to think at some point in the future, like far future, we would be able to download our personalities, our consciousness,
that's one theory.
That sort of thing.
See, I'm not sure if I would really consider that immortal though, because I feel like immortal would be based off of you. Like, regardless of anything external.
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say,
cannot do
it's
that.
a copy
I don't
of
think
you.
we would reach that.
It's a copy of you. It's not actually
because that brings up the question.
I was gonna say that's an existential question.
Right?
Like, is it truly me?
Which is currently, since we do the Comic Story YouTube channel as well, the conflict that Tony Stark is going through right now. Like he technically died, but uploaded his body or his consciousness into a new body, and is constantly going through, is this really me?
Right. Yes. And you don't want to be the other version of you in that instance because it's like you have a crisis of wanting to live forever before you die, and then you have a crisis of, do I really want to live forever after you've chosen to live forever? And it's this whole thing.
Yeah.
So there was something I was going to bring up, and now I've actually forgotten.
But I want to hear about people
Okay,
who
so
are immortal.
the second question is, has anyone already become immortal? We'll get to that later. Keanu Reeves. And end. Okay.
Thanks for watching.
Also, I did send out a tweet asking everybody to kind of contribute ideas for Conspiracy Cast. Not that I was running out of ideas, but other people come up with great ideas that I'm one person,
people know conspiracies from locations
and ideas
that we
Tales
know
of
of.
Yes, exactly.
And
so you guys you ladies and gentlemen, have actually given me some really fantastic concepts for Conspiracy Cast, which I will address when I can put a lot more research into them, because I don't want to give you the answer without like putting just a ton of care into it. And so this was my concept. I put my own kind of level of care into this. Not that I didn't put care into it. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to do you guys
only so much.
Yeah, I don't want to do you guys wrong. Like I want if I'm covering something that a specific person on Twitter asked me to cover, I want to put my absolute best into it. Yeah. So, but I also really wanted to talk about this because I think it's a fascinating concept, and we've never talked about this actually.
It's just kind of a funny way to put it. You're like, if somebody brings it up to me, I want to put as much care and effort as I can into it. I did this one, so it's crap. Honestly.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You're welcome. Okay. According to biotechniques.com, immortality is possible. Sort of. Sort of. So we're gonna get a little sciencey here. From Immortal Cells.
Stand back. We're gonna science.
We're gonna science. I might blow something up.
Stop.
Why?
Science time. Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
That was great. That should be a thing now.
Every time
we're gonna record you on a green screen doing that now. And
every time we're about to go into
awesome.
some
sort of like
it just stops the podcast and I go, stop. Science time.
I like it. Go.
From immortal cells, cell lines to artificial intelligence, how can we define immortality, and just how close can humans get? Like I said, this comes from biotechniques.com. The title of the article is On the Question of Immortality, How Close Can Humans Get? So what is immortality? The Oxford Dictionary defines immortality as the ability to live forever, eternal life. But how should this be interpreted, and what does it mean to be immortal? If we define this as immortality in a physical sense, immortal cell lines do already exist. This is not to say humans as physical beings could become immortal. If we were to look at immortality as our thoughts, personalities, and ideas living on, there are currently initiatives at work that aim to have this in some form by 2045.
So I could technically become immortal.
But by the time it happens, will you be at an age that you want to become immortal?
There's also the theory of like
55 for the rest of my life. Yeah.
There's also the theory of like cryogenic immortality, where you just choose when you want to wake up and you go back, you wake up, you go back.
Like Disney.
But see, that
Disney
would be a technically not immortal.
It's not immortal.
Right. Yeah.
You're
not
just
immortal.
deciding when to continue your life.
Just continue
real
aging.
quick. Nah, I'm good.
I don't like this. Yeah.
Well, give me another 30.
Yep. CSI is still on TV? Yeah. Okay. I'm going back in.
Going back in.
That's your question every time you come out.
Every time I pop out.
CSI is still on TV? What's TV? Okay, I think I'll step out.
Yeah.
Why is everything CSI? Okay, so immortal cells are divided into two kinds.
Why
I
is
don't know what that
everyone
means.
putting their sunglasses on to? How did this happen?
Immortal cells? Little do you know that it's by you going into cryostasis, you were the deciding factor as to the popularity of CSI,
That'd be horrible.
and you didn't
You
know
come
it.
out. Is CSI still going? Completely forgot about that. Let's put it back on.
No. Immortal cells. So, immortal cells are divided into two kinds.
Why CSI?
I don't know, because it's been on for like 16 years.
That's true.
Same with Law and Order. Yep.
Law and Order.
CSI is immortal. Law and Order.
Cut that. It's probably copyright.
Immortal cells
Let's do this.
are divided into two kinds: embryonic stem cells and cancer cells. Immortality in cancer cells is related to telomere shortening. Telomeres are the section of I'm probably butchering that. Are the section of non-coding DNA at the end of a chromosome that the primer for DNA replication attaches to. As the new DNA strand is built up from this primer, its telomere will be shorter. As normal cells continue to divide, telomeres will become shorter until eventually there is no more telomere left. When this happens, replication will then result in missing parts of coding sequences, which the cell will treat as DNA damage and lead to senescence and cell death. This is one of the factors that contributes to the aging process and leads to a finite lifespan. Cancer cells overcome this issue by containing the enzyme telomerase, which synthesizes telomeres, meaning they do not have the issue of telomere shortening. Embryonic stem cells are also considered to be immortal as they do not age, can proliferate indefinitely, and can form any tissue of the organism. So there are parts of our body, cancer cells, unfortunately, that can technically live forever. But the idea, the problem there is replicating that for the entire human body. It's basically identifying the parts of our DNA, the parts of like cell replication that cause aging, which apparently, according to this, is basically we just run out of telomeres.
Right.
You know, so we basically just start running out of material to replicate. And so you can only replicate so long before things just start dying.
Right.
So that's one version is that scientists are looking for ways to basically fix the biochemical aging problem.
So they just continuously replicate.
Yes.
And then we don't die.
And then you don't die. If you lose an arm, you just...
That'd be sweet.
That's people are working on that. They're looking for ways to grow back
cool.
limbs, and there are species who can already do it. Like there's a species of fish somewhere, I can't remember what it's called, but if you cut off any part of its body, it'll just grow right back. Not instantly, but
Right.
yeah.
That would be terrifying.
That would be
Kinda
truly
like,
terrifying.
Lizard tails as well.
Yeah.
Like they pop them off for
Yep.
Yeah, just grow it right back.
self-defense and
Exactly.
Take it off, just start swinging it at somebody.
Yep. Yep.
they're like, hey,
Tail fight.
Tail.
no.
No.
Oh, okay.
So before I go
Different kind
into
of
too
lizard.
much with the bio talk, because I think that was enough bio talk, I was never very good with,
I was not great at biology,
or
yeah.
chemistry or any of that. Like I'm
was.
sure if I really applied myself, I
Used
could have done fairly well with it, but
Right.
I never
It
interested.
doesn't interest me is the
Yeah.
problem. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't apply myself to it.
Yes, exactly.
fair.
Same with math.
Yes, me too. Yeah, I was like, I could do it. I just don't like
want
it.
to.
I don't
Right.
want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before doing this, I knew a lot about biology because I was going to go into medicine.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
well,
makes
of course,
sense.
that's
Now-
essential. That's
now
essential.
all of that knowledge has been replaced
By
by comic books, video games, and conspiracies.
You're
The way
welcome.
Jesus would have done it.
Sorry,
What? That's true. Keep going.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was. Yeah.
Damn it, Andy.
I wondered that. Like Jesus is a teenager today. That should be a TV show.
Jesus.
Teen
millennial-
Jesus.
Millennial Jesus.
Millennial Jesus. Actually, be Generation Z.
Z,
Y?
technically,
Gen
yeah.
Z. Gen Z. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Gen
don't know
Z
if
Jesus.
there's a new generation
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. Okay, so before I go on too much with the bio talk, there's one movement in science that seeks to create immortality for humans, the Singularity Movement. So the Singularity Movement is based on the idea that
Sorry,
yes.
before we move away from the
Yes.
biological
Sure.
one, because
Yeah, yeah.
I actually did have a
Yes,
thought.
yes. Yes,
when
it's
you
cool.
were doing this research, did you come across anything about lobsters? The reason why I ask is I
didn't think
read
to search
once.
about lobsters.
Well, I read once that apparently lobster. I think it's lobsters. I could be getting the animal incorrect, but they do live forever. Like they already,
I've eaten a few that were definitely
regardless.
dead.
But that's the thing is that's like it's
definitely
that
dead.
kind of immortality
yeah.
where they'll live forever
Under the right conditions.
until-
Under the right
Yes.
conditions, you can live
Exactly.
forever. Right.
And like I believe, I really want to say it is. Someone in chat said it is lobsters.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, they're for some reason either their like circulatory system
Yeah.
or something
Wow.
about their biology. If nothing happened to them, no external factor,
Yes.
they would
They would live
live
forever.
Forever.
That's amazing. So leave it to humans to look at this thing and go, hey, this thing could live forever. We should study it. Nah, let's just eat it.
That
Well, what happened was somebody
that-
caught one, and they were like, "Well,
Right.
when it dies, we'll just eat it."
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right, and
So
they kept
they're
it in
like-
like a
you
little
gain their
lobster
powers.
cage. Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like a vegetarian, who
Right.
only eats something that's already died.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So
Okay.
then, like 100 years went by, and eventually that person's like grandchild was like, "Man, we just gotta eat this thing."
It's like,
Like,
no.
I don't know why it's
We
been
need-
in this cage for
Yeah,
100 years.
we need to honor grandmammy.
Here's my question though: if they live forever,
right.
Yes.
do they continue to grow?
No.
Like if I found
so-
a million-year-old lobster, would it be the size of a Volkswagen?
that would be the best thing ever. Scariest
Delicious.
as well.
Imagine the
Also,
size
for
of
the
a
record, the
claw
whole
cracker you
eating
would-
Yeah.
them. That's how South Park got crab people.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. That's a good question though. Like, does it just keep growing and growing? And
It
growing
hits
and-
a certain. It does hit a certain
Certain
size. It's
size.
kind of like eyebrow. Like
Right.
as weird as that is, it's kind of like eyebrow hair
eyebrows are
where
immortal.
right now it's not going to grow any longer. Your eyebrows
Right.
hit a length, but if you
Yeah.
shave them off, they would grow back to that length again.
I wish my fingernails did that.
I just stop
Here,
at a
just
certain
Just stop
point.
growing at a certain length. No, I
I
shave
wonder
off
if
my
they do.
fingernails. Yeah.
I wonder if they do, and you just have never
so-
reached that length.
Well, you've seen the people with like 10-foot long.
Yeah,
You
but
never
I
know
was
if
gonna say
they
we
have
don't know
reached
what the
their
actual
length.
length
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So they just get like 13 feet long.
Right.
And you're like, okay, I'm done. So,
It's like, and there's our limit. Okay, guys.
So what you're saying
we can
is-
only get 15-foot long fingernails.
So-
Science, bitch.
that's your green
Stop.
screen
That's
animation.
fine.
Yeah.
Science time.
And at the end we go, "Science, bitch."
Yes. So what you're saying is that in the event that humans leave the Earth, like we just leave it behind, or we die off, whatever, we're not here anymore. The next like bipedal intelligent form of life will be lobsters.
No.
Crab people.
You're like,
No,
no,
that's
where'd you get
well,
that?
that's actually
idiot.
another.
That is what his look was. It was like,
Well, that's because
no.
that's another question of evolution.
Can they evolve
of
then?
a lot of time,
Yeah.
the evolution happens in the reproductive process
Yep.
of it grows a way that the parent adapted to.
I think it'll be sharks.
I would say dolphins.
We'll get
they
land
seem
sharks.
smarter.
Yeah, sharks are better.
They'll
to
found
survive.
Atlantis. Little do we know, there's a city of dolphins
Yep.
underwater.
There's going to be land sharks and land dolphins, and they'll war with each other. And then
And
we'll come
they-
back and we'll be like, hey, how are things
They'll
going
fight the otter.
here? There's land sharks.
They'll
We're
fight
leaving.
the otter people.
The otter
otter
people.
people.
Okay,
Anyway,
so
keep going.
And the world is saved by the
We're going on like
lobsters.
a Benny tangent.
Yeah,
right now.
sorry. I just wanted to bring that up because
yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
it was a cool fact that there
Oh,
are
it's really cool. I had no
currently
idea.
things that do or
I had-
can
yeah, I had no
live
idea.
forever.
Okay, so
Singularity.
well, there's a longer word here.
Oh, okay.
Singularitarianism
Wow,
is a
actually, that is
movement
exactly what the word
is a movement defined by the belief that a technological singularity, the creation of super intelligence, will likely happen in the medium future. What's the medium future? Like 20 years, probably. I just had my own
was gonna
conversation.
say, yeah. I was gonna say, to me, like the immediate
Yeah,
future
yeah.
is like a year.
Right.
Yeah. Medium
Just
future.
think of this.
10 to 20.
Whenever
Large
you
future,
say a
extra
year,
large future.
it's one of those ones where you go, whenever you say a year, you go, oh, that's really far out. That's further future. But when you're like, well, it's in a couple of years, medium future.
Medium future. And that deliberate action ought to be taken to ensure that the singularity benefits humans. Now, the other side of this within the Singularity Movement is that they want to kind of blend humankind, with technology.
Yes.
That we will achieve immortality by like, oh, my arm doesn't work anymore. I'll just get a new one. Or
Right.
like
We are Borg.
my eyes are, yeah, we are Borg. My eyes don't work anymore. So just pop in some new ones or uploading your consciousness. There's a whole range of like
Right.
Yeah.
the line between human and machine will blur.
Yeah.
And it'll just be normal. Like it's like wearing glasses. It's like
Right.
wearing shoes. Any
Yeah,
sort
like,
of
oh, my eyesight
technology.
is bad, so we'll just give you robotic eyes.
Right.
It's
We'll
normal.
call it good.
Yep. And so that's one side. There's actually a Singularity University. It's not a physical place. It's more like an online like series of like courses and lectures and things. But they genuinely believe that mankind needs to be ready for super intelligence, not just artificial intelligence, but super intelligence, which is Skynet. And quantum computers are going to get us there. That like traditional computers like these cannot do it.
Right.
They cannot become artificially intelligent on the level that we want.
Right.
It has to be a quantum
Well, I
process.
don't want my laptop getting artificial.
Right. It has to be a
intelligence.
quantum process because our brains actually work on a quantum level.
Yeah.
It's not just chemicals. So there's that other branch of the Singularity Movement that seeks to blend mankind with machines. What do you guys think about that?
That is scary.
I don't like it.
Because
I don't like it.
It's similar to the AIs being able to fit into life. It's always the question, and this comes up in anything where humans try and branch out, is at what point are you human? At what point
Right.
are you no longer
Are you just a
human?
machine now?
Because if you are a machine, you're not human. You're either an android or a cyborg.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is like, yeah, even machines die. It's not true immortality.
Exactly.
Have you ever had a laptop that just died? Yes.
Yeah. You can transfer your data onto a new laptop, but that laptop will not
Dead.
work.
It's not. Yeah, it's not going to work. And some of that data like doesn't transfer properly, or it doesn't work with the new firmware. I don't want to get a firmware update like every 6 months. I got this new firmware update this morning. Suddenly my arm doesn't
aren't
work.
updated.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
Either that, or you're like, oh, I really don't like this guy. I didn't get my compatibility update.
Yeah,
And that explains it. Let me go.
Yep.
Or you're like, you're an older person. Let me just check my compatibility with older operating systems, or check with Windows 2020.
Here on Amazon, I found you a new CPU. You guys can upgrade it.
So,
Right.
so the question is though, so you say this terrifies you, but it could also have a lot of benefits as well. So a child
yes.
who's born blind, a child
Yes.
who's born deaf. I mean,
Yes.
we've already
Yeah,
made giant leaps forward
Right.
in
Yes.
medical. I don't know if robotics is the proper word for it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
prosthetics.
Yes.
Soldiers who have lost limbs.
Yeah.
I know several people who have gotten artificial limbs
Yeah.
for this reason. There's and I've seen it a few times. For whatever reason, it pops up on my YouTube now. It someone who's born deaf, but
Yeah.
now with the proper prosthetics, they hear for the very first time at the age
Right.
of 17.
Right.
Someone who's blind or colorblind, and now they can
Yep.
see colors and
Right.
things like that. So it doesn't technically have to be a scary thing. It can
No,
be a very
not at all.
good thing. However,
Right.
now if we're straight up replacing
Right.
our body
Right.
with a robotic body, well, then that does probably
Well,
Exactly,
question, are you
but
still
yes.
because the
human
other
at
thing
that
with
point?
that
Right.
is, this is the problem with humanity as a
Yes.
whole. Is while yes, it does all of these things, like someone can lose their
Where's the
arm at
limit?
war. Exactly, it's like
Mm-hmm.
well, someone lost their arm at war, so we were able to give them a prosthetic, so they are able to essentially have
But
two
now,
arms.
if
again.
I flat out, hey, I just want a robotic arm that can punch
Exactly.
through a wall.
Exactly. Or what if you
I'm sure there will be
join
like
the military?
regulations.
Yeah,
for that.
that's
So you got to go to the
regulated.
black
Yeah,
market
yeah.
for
Exactly, but
robotics.
it's
Yeah.
like, what
Transforms
if
into a
for the
minigun.
war, now you go in and they're like, well, we're removing your arm.
Right.
Because
Yes.
it's easier to give you a weapon as an arm
Yes.
for the war, because then you're always going to be
Right.
able
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
it always
I'll say
hits that line.
Then you run into I mean, there's thousands of books, movies, video
Right.
games that deal with that sort of thing. Yes.
Exactly.
When are you no longer human at that point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When are you no longer human, and at what point, what kind of technology do you trust humanity with?
Sure. Right. Yep.
Because no matter how much good one person will do, I hate to say it, there's almost always one person that will do the opposite.
There's probably 2 or 3 people
Exactly.
for every
Like-
one person
oh,
that'll
yeah.
do the right
Exactly.
thing.
And
Yeah,
and that's the big concern.
Well,
right,
I mean,
because
and like currently we have this stigma against becoming one with machines.
Mm-hmm.
But at what point will the stigma be in the opposite direction, where you'll be seen as
someone
like
who's
old
100%
fashioned
human.
Yes.
Which, as we discussed this morning, I hate technology, so I'd be that one guy.
Oh, me too. Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah,
I'd be
yeah,
that
yeah.
one guy who's
Yeah.
walking around like fully human. Everybody
Fully-
else is flying with rocket feet.
but like, here's another thing with that is,
I don't know.
if we did reach the point that
Yeah.
we're part machine, it becomes a machines are hackable and hijackable.
True, yes.
Yeah.
So what are you responsible
Pretty sure that was in
for?
a Call of Duty game.
And
Yeah.
actually, it's
I
kind
don't
of
want my
similar
family
to...
members getting hacked.
Your
Like,
daughter
one-
gets hacked and she comes at you with a knife.
Yeah.
But see, and that's just it, is at that point, it's similar actually to self-driving cars right now.
People are hacking cars.
It's,
Yeah.
They're hacking cars. At what point
Yep.
is the person piloting either
Right.
the car or
Yeah,
the person?
and how do you
in
know? That's a scary
responsibility,
thought, like,
or
how do you
someone
know? Yeah.
else. Exactly.
Like upload a new like program, like new commands.
Yeah.
You know,
It's the free
Easiest
will
way to
from
take out Gary.
Futurama.
Easiest way to take out Gary is I hack his daughter. You will never see it coming.
no.
Saying, for the record, if that actually became a thing, you would have to keep in mind which time period was talking, because in the future,
Sure, yeah.
a long time ago, hacking someone was a completely
That
different
is
situation.
true. That is a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah. I mean, well, and like, at what point are the people who actually deny the upgrades or whatever?
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine they'll ever be mandatory.
Well, that
Maybe. I mean, maybe you never
No,
know.
I can't-
But,
I can't imagine it would ever be
But
mandatory.
maybe you can't function in society without the upgrades.
Well, then
Like
that would be
everybody
the
else.
lower
Like-
class people would
like,
most
try
likely
running
be
a business.
people who could not afford upgrades.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
So you're lower class,
you make
yeah.
it a personal choice,
Yeah.
whether it be for personal reasons, religious reasons,
Yes.
whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, if the future ever got to that point, yes, those people would probably be considered lower class citizens.
Lower class.
Yeah.
Like I mean, they'd probably be looked at as like the Amish. Like, well, they're just pushing against like progress. They're pushing
Right,
against
exactly,
technology.
exactly.
They're
That's
pushing
exactly
against
what it would
old
look like.
fashioned.
Yeah.
Or it would go the opposite
Yeah.
way when you're so rich that you don't need to upgrade yourself. You can afford people to do it for you.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
So I guess it
Exactly.
could go either way,
Yeah,
really.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, probably the Amish.
Yeah.
It was probably be the biggest,
the equivalent to
easiest
the, yeah.
equivalent.
Yeah.
So I'd go live with the Amish. But yeah, I mean, it would be no different than like trying to function today. Like, build a business today without using a smartphone.
Right. Even the
possible.
Congratulations.
Even the Amish
Yes. No,
use
you won't be able
smartphones.
Yes.
I've seen that.
It's possible.
Really?
The ones that own like businesses that deal with
They
people
Businesses,
outside of
I could
Amish.
see that,
Yeah, the
but-
Amish community.
Right.
The
They
Amish
do
are
have
actually
smartphones.
slowly embracing technology. They are actually
certain
they're
purposes.
Yeah, for certain
I wouldn't
purposes.
say they're not like
overall.
oh yeah, just
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where it's they don't do it willingly for
personal reasons.
personal reasons,
Yes.
but
It's not
more
for leisure, pleasure. Yeah,
like
yeah.
living reasons. Because
Yeah.
let's be honest, if
Yeah.
you don't have smartphone or internet, you're not going to have a successful business because
No.
people aren't going to know about you. People aren't going
It's
to
just the way it
be
is.
able to
Yeah,
find
unfortunately.
you.
Well, you can
like-
find me in the yellow pages. The what?
The what?
Yeah,
No,
you mean the
what?
thing that I leave
Yeah.
outside of my apartment?
That's getting
until
smaller
the
and
next year,
smaller
they
every
give you-
every
Yeah,
time you get it.
literally.
Yeah, it
Right.
gets
I
smaller.
still don't know why they print those because that's
don't
just
either.
a ton of weight.
Oh,
Literally,
it's a-
at my
away.
old apartment, I wouldn't
Yeah.
even bring it in. I just left it outside,
Yes.
and they would replace. No, they would replace it with.
That's funny.
And I was just like, "Why? Take the hint."
Yeah.
The whole purpose of me leaving it out here was to show you. I
don't
didn't
take
even
it.
bother to bring it
Yeah.
in for a
Yeah.
full year,
Yeah.
and you still gave me a new one. They're not even yellow anymore.
They're not.
Just saying.
They're
Keep
like
going,
an
Gary.
off-white.
All right.
Okay,
so let's go to the people that are immortal.
Yes. So, ever heard of Dashi Dorzo Itiglov?
Oh, yeah, I hung out with him last night.
Itiglov. Yeah, you hung out with him
Yeah, we
last
got
week?
a beer.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
So he was a
You're immortal now.
he was a Buryat Buddhist Lama born in 1852, and he is still believed to be in a meditative state rather than dead. It is all due to the way he passed away. He recommended his fellow monks to start the process of meditation and the funeral rites while he sat in the lotus position, claiming he would soon pass away. He never, quote, woke up from this meditation, and to this day, he remains in the lotus position and seems to remain immune from any signs of decay. People believe he is in a state of hibernation or a nirvana-like state.
If that is a faked photo, that is a very good fake photo.
That is a very good fake photo.
Yeah.
I'm
not saying it isn't. Yeah, I'm not saying
about,
it is.
Yeah, I'm wondering about
however.
this bench behind him. That's not. So if he hasn't moved, someone moved him.
Well, I mean, that's possible.
Well,
He
it's
just-
just-
Has
he
anyone
just
tried to
floated.
shake him? Hey, bro.
Hey,
someone does. They moved into the bench.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And then he
How
died.
long have I been asleep?
And then he died immediately,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you woke him up accidentally.
And then it's kind of like, the
he just
dusting. He's like,
yeah. It's like, no, don't bother him. He's in a meditative state. No, trust me, this is important. Hey. He's like, yeah. Hey, have you seen my ID? I don't know where it is.
See my wallet?
He's like,
You're sitting on my wallet. Can you get up?
you're sitting on my wallet. You're sitting on my wallet. So that's one claim to like a kind of immortality where he just in
It does
this
look,
meditative state.
like I said, if it is a fake photo, it's very good because he does look the same.
exactly the
Yes.
same.
But see, that brings up, plus, his hair didn't even grow.
Right.
Maybe
Like,
somebody
and
comes
it-
over
see,
and buzzes
that's-
it for him.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Looking good
That's
today.
one of those ones, though, where it's like,
Dashi?
while you're immortal, would you consider that living?
No.
Like,
I don't know where
you
his mind is.
I was
technically-
going to say we don't know where his mind is. So I mean,
Exactly.
that is entirely an existential question. What is actually living?
Yeah.
The entire time he's actually been he's actually in sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
He can see and hear everything. And no, I would not consider that living.
No, I would not.
That
No,
would be horrible.
That would be terrible. There's like corpse immortality. So under the Vatican, you can actually go see them. There are what they claim to be so saints who have died who just do not decay.
Huh.
You can see them like at their desk. You can see them sitting. You can see them sleeping.
Occasionally they put like a cigarette in their mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
One's on his
ass.
cell phone.
They take him out for, what was that?
Weekend at Bernie's kind of
Thank
thing.
you.
Yeah, then making them dance.
So that's one claim
Hey
to
guys, are you ready
immortality.
for a Saints dancing party? Everyone go get your partner.
Yeah. Here's the part of the conversation where we don't take it 100% seriously.
No.
Yes, for the record, if we offend anyone, we do apologize.
No, we don't.
I do.
I never apologize.
I apologize if we
We're
offend
not going to
someone.
offend anybody. You can't
If I
offend
made,
somebody.
I don't know, we kinda-
Yes,
if I
you
made
can't-
the Saints dance.
No,
I mean, I guess that could be considered offensive.
the considering of someone not being alive when they're able to hear everyone else going.
Oh,
outside.
Well,
No,
I
that's not what we
personally
meant.
would
That's
not
not what
want
we
that.
meant.
That's more of a personal
Exactly,
choice,
and
and I've said
that's-
that if I'm ever in a
wanting
vegetative
that
state,
forever.
yes,
Exactly.
and I've said
Literally
that.
forever.
I'm in the
Yes.
same
Yeah,
boat
yeah.
there as well, but
my
I
will.
am aware that there are other people that think
That is true.
differently, and
Yeah.
I want to make
Yeah,
it clear
yeah.
that we're not
Right, no.
intending any disrespect or
Right,
anything like
yeah.
that. I just
So,
wanted to quickly
Okay,
say.
no, I agree with that.
This is the non-serious part of the show.
All right.
Oh, this part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's see who's immortal.
12 celebrities you didn't realize were secretly immortal.
All right, I do know.
Number
that Keanu
one.
Reeves is-
Actually, can you do it?
Number one.
No. That's like...
That was
sorry.
more of a game.
Number one.
There you
that
go.
was
All
more
right,
of a game show.
I wasn't sure what
All
kind
right,
of number
so...
system you wanted.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is immortal.
Yes.
There is a website about it. Thus, it is true. It's actually KeanuIsImmortal.com.
That's fantastic.
There's a legitimate website.
That is
Keanu
fantastic.
is-
Seen the website.
He's like, this is
actually
so
the one that made
inaccurate.
it.
Yeah.
He's like, Keanu is immortal.
Crazy.
Conan O'Brien. Apparently, Conan O'Brien once was a Civil War soldier, but it's miraculous he wasn't killed in battle because his hair is highly visible.
The
yep.
Keanu one I can see. That one I don't
Conan
see.
O'Brien? No.
That looks more. The Keanu Reeves looks more like, looks like, yeah,
could have
that's
been a
you.
photo, yeah,
that
a
looks
painting
more
of
like,
Keanu
hey,
Reeves.
that's your ancestor.
Yes. I would say
Right.
that,
Yeah. Elijah Wood. We know Elijah Wood as a believable child and Big Boy, believable. He was a believable child, beloved child, and big boy actor.
I don't believe you're a kid.
But like Michael Cera. But he used to live as a Bedouin woman.
Interesting.
That's quite the claim. In the 1800s. I like to think the photograph on the left was taken when Wood was pitched the idea for Wilfred. That is a pretty remarkable resemblance.
It is pretty close.
But, but not identical.
And see, I'm wondering if these are like implying reincarnation on some of them.
Some level, yeah, on some level.
Well, that implies that you will
Yes.
always look roughly the same when you read.
Well, there are
That's
some
true.
really, really interesting reincarnation stories that people just can't explain. Like their son coming to them at the age of like 6 and saying like, I had this nightmare. It was like of this battle, and then they start talking about like, well, I remember this and I remember that, and I
Very
was
detailed,
I was a
yeah.
general. I was this.
Yeah.
I was that. And then there was one story where they took this boy to, I think it was an old shipwreck, like shipyard where I think it was Pearl Harbor. And so they brought him there, and he like started crying because he claimed that he could remember all of it. There was details that only a person who was actually there
Yeah.
Could have known,
Could have
yeah.
known.
I actually
Yes.
knew someone
Yeah.
that I cannot verify, but
That's
believed
believable.
that they had been reborn from someone that died in the Titanic.
Okay.
And
Yep.
had the exact same situation where it was
Yeah.
like they had such vivid memories
Yep.
of being like a certain person
Yeah.
and actually being
Yeah.
aware, and then later on
And they
went
talk about it
to-
like it's just normal.
exactly,
Like,
and then they
I
actually
was this
later
person
went
once.
on to check out like the memorial,
Yeah.
and they were like, someone found the picture that they described exactly
Yeah.
as who they were, and so
Right.
it was like a
That's how they choose the new Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama
Yeah.
dies, and then they go like
It's
searching
toys,
for
isn't it?
its toys. So it's possessions.
or
So,
possession,
but it's like several tests. It's not like here, pick one that belonged to you.
Yeah.
And then they just randomly happen to pick the right one. Like, I think it's like a series of tests.
It's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like, wow,
Yeah.
he chose the toy car.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Dalai Lama's favorite at every age.
Yeah.
Michael Cera. Although Cera looks youthful, he is immortal, and also
A woman.
Hitler's mother.
Really? I could
Hitler's
believe that.
mother.
If anyone was going to be the mother of the most evil, vile person in
Yes.
history, it would be Michael Cera.
See, Michael Cera is the perfect example of be very careful when you decide to be immortal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You
yeah.
just decide.
Like you
Yeah.
accidentally, you're like
Yeah,
15
that's
and
the
you're
moment.
like,
That's yeah.
or it's kind of like the whole, I think it happens in like a lot of like vampire stuff.
Oh, when
where
you
it's
get
like,
changed
when do
into
you
a
want to
vampire,
get
yeah,
bitten because you're going to be that the rest of your
get
life.
stuck as
Right.
like a
And it's
kid.
like,
Yeah.
exactly, you don't want to do it when you're super young and
Yes,
then later on be like,
exactly.
no, I promise I'm 21. Let me into
100.
this bar.
2100. Steve Carell. With that facial hair, Steve Carell is definitely the 300-year-old virgin. That is, I don't know. That's
I like
that's
that.
pretty.
I like
that's,
pretty close.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But the thing you
that
have to
looks more
realize about like
ancestor
the
again.
human gene pool, relatively, is pretty shallow when you talk about like specific
facial features.
facial
and things like that,
features, yeah,
Right.
and ethnicities and
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah. Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage has been making old timey clothes look cool for hundreds of years. That's pretty amazing.
Okay, that looks like
Yeah.
him, but with age appropriate
Yeah.
facial hair.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He clearly uses wax.
Eminem. 200 years have passed, but Eminem hasn't changed his go-to
Oh my
pose.
gosh. I was just about to say that it looks the exact same face.
Yep, that's the same face. Nicolas Cage.
That one I knew.
This is number 8. After learning that Nicolas Cage is immortal and lived through the 1800s, I can't wait to see National Treasure 4, The Confederati.
National treasure.
That just makes me think of
Yep.
Futurama once again, where Leela wants to go to the movies. She's like, I hate having to pay $20 to see Nicolas Cage steal something.
Anderson Cooper. Brutus stabbed Julius Caesar, Anderson Cooper in the back, / Anderson Cooper in the back because he couldn't bear to look in those beautiful baby blues again. That's weird. That's awkward.
Let me pose a question here.
Yep.
Hypothetically, if you were immortal, how weird would it be? Let's say Anderson Cooper is Julius Caesar.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this.
Yes.
Let's say hypothetically, Anderson Cooper is in fact the immortal version of Julius Caesar. So you go from the Emperor of Rome to like
To a newscaster.
To like a newscaster. Like, I mean, I suppose if you're alive forever, you're eventually going to have to find new hobbies.
Right.
Right.
New work. Yep. You have
Yeah,
to blend
new work.
in.
Yeah, blend in.
Yeah.
But how weird would that be? You're like, I once ruled.
I once ruled the
an
known world.
entire, yeah, basically the known world.
Yes.
And I am now a newscaster.
But, I mean, let's be honest. He
It's
was
a
probably
hobby.
like, you know what? If I do that again, I might get stabbed.
Again.
If
And
I do that
wasn't
again,
fun.
yeah.
That wasn't
Yeah,
a
do
good
again,
part
yeah,
of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
a weird Tuesday.
You know?
It's like it was easier to rule the world back then.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
Nowadays,
honestly,
I just
yeah.
don't
It was
get
a
these
smaller world.
smartphones.
It was a smaller world is what
Yeah.
it was. Now it's a bigger world.
Mark Zuckerberg is number 10. Mark Zuckerberg used to be the unpopular King Philip IV of Spain, but hey, you don't subjugate 500 million people without making a few enemies, right?
Just like
I mean,
Facebook.
I was
Just
just
like
about to
Facebook,
say,
yep.
it's like,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
He's
he kept the
subjugating
same.
them differently.
Yeah.
Shia Labeouf. Remember when Shia Labeouf came up with the theory of relativity? I think it was during season 2 of Even Stevens. So a young Einstein looks exactly like Shia
I honestly
LaBeouf.
don't think that looks like him though.
No.
No, I think
No,
it is.
I
think
really
it is.
don't.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
This one's good. 12. Sylvester Stallone.
that
Honestly,
actually-
Sylvester Stallone looks pretty good for being 600 years old. Now, the only issue with these claims, and some people do
I
actually
thought so.
believe these.
Yeah.
They do legit, like Keanu Reeves, people legitimately believe the guy is immortal or like some kind of phoenix.
Well, he's
or
so
something.
wholesome that, I mean, no one
I
wants
want
to
him to be immortal.
Exactly.
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 We have record of them being younger. Like we have record and pictures and videos.
That is
of being
true.
like
Yes, he did.
kids.
I mean, well, he does look very good for. He's like in
Yes.
his 40s now.
50s.
50s.
He's in his 50s.
Well, he looks very good for 50s.
That's what he does.
Yep. Actually, I'm gonna
He
look
definitely looks older than when he was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yes.
There ain't no way around
And
that.
you can very much tell when you see the trailer
Yes.
for the new one, and
Yes.
you're like, oh,
He's 54.
Plus, he
Oh,
looks
wow.
so much different without facial hair.
He does.
I saw
I mean,
a
he
trailer.
even
that
looks-
you
Well, the thing
and I was
is,
like,
facial
oh my
hair
gosh.
hides wrinkles and it hides
Yeah.
like
Why do you think I do?
drooping?
Exactly. Why do you think when people get
I'm
older,
60.
they tend to let their facial hair grow out?
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, he looks amazing for 54.
Yes.
I hope I look that good in 20 years.
Yeah.
But he definitely looks older than he did in The Matrix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Now
it's-
back in
I mean-
like I think it was the early 2000s is when the rumor started.
Yes.
Because they were looking at like what was it?
Breakpoint.
Breakpoint. Yeah. Was it Breakpoint?
Uh,
Point Break.
Point Break. Point
Wow.
Break,
Okay. 80s was a long time ago.
Yeah, it
people.
was, yeah.
They'll put.
They did not change their movie names that
No,
much.
no.
They would look at like Point Break,
Yeah.
and then him in the early 2000s,
And he
say
did look like
he
pretty much
legitimately
the
looked the
same.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
But that's the thing is that you show like Patrick Stewart back in the 70s when he was doing Shakespeare, and then Patrick Stewart in the mid 90s
Still look roughly
look the same. But
Yeah.
that's because as a like especially as men, you know, you don't change a whole lot between your mid to late 20s and like your early, you know, late 30s, early 40s.
And if they take care of themselves,
Yeah,
and,
yeah, and you take really great care of your, and you
eat
grow
well.
a beard.
Yeah.
Yes, some people are just more youthful, you know. Like the guy from Full House. What is his name?
John Stamos?
John Stamos.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Looking
He
older.
roughly looks the
yeah,
same.
he looks
Yeah.
roughly the same.
Actually, I haven't seen a recent picture of him, so I would not know.
But seeing as how this is the conspiracy cast, do you think that there is any kind of because there's no real conspiracy necessarily that some organization or some government is trying
to
to
turn us immortal.
invent immortality, or I mean there are conspiracies with like Disney, you know,
Yeah.
being frozen, you know, for some odd years.
Yeah.
For what reason? I don't know. He's like, wake me up when I rule media.
I'm gonna
So,
laugh when
yeah.
they do wake him up and they're like, "Wait, hey,
Hey.
you're." Oh, he died.
They're like,
We thought he was
Yeah,
frozen
yeah, yeah, yeah.
cryogenically, but it turns out putting
Somebody-
him on ice doesn't work.
somebody
Yeah.
tripped over the cord and
Yep.
unplugged.
Back in the 90s.
He's like, wake me up when we make a live action Dumbo. And they were like, sir, it's done.
It's done. Wake me up when we acquire Fox. It's like, sir, that'll take 30 years at least. I know.
See, if I would say this was a conspiracy if it was different people.
Sure.
Like if
Yeah.
we were
Oh, yeah,
looking
yeah, yeah.
at, like, for example, if Anderson Cooper was
trying to
a
rule the
world
world.
leader, like
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
say he
yeah.
was president or something like that,
Right.
Then I would say maybe a conspiracy of, oh, this leader in this period
Maybe
of time
he's gonna
is
go
the
for the
leader in
presidency.
this period
right,
of
right.
time
And he
is
has
the
a lot
leader-
of the same things. He's talking about
Exactly.
making a new
Yes.
empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, he
yeah.
wants a coliseum.
That's
Yeah.
odd.
For the
Yeah.
empire, I mean the United States. Empire.
Exactly.
Empire.
Okay, so I pose this existential question to you both.
Yes,
All
what?
right.
Now, it's far in the future.
Yep.
We have the ability to create a new Gary. Okay? We're going
Okay.
to make you 100% the
Okay.
same. We're going to take your brain and put it in new Gary.
Okay.
So you will still be Gary.
So you like
in
clone
new-
my younger
exact,
body.
Basically. So you
okay, yeah.
sort of immortal.
Sort of.
Right? Once you hit a new age, a certain age, we just
Right.
make a new one real
Right.
quick. We got a bunch of them on ice. And
Right.
then we just put you in a new one.
You
Would you consider that immortality, and would you consider yourself still to be the same person?
only if it were my brain. And only if it were an exact like genetic copy
Right.
of my younger self. That's a form of immortality, but I would not consider it true
Immortality. Because it's
Yes.
not the same body every time.
Right,
Correct.
Right.
Where are you saying it would be a full replacement or potential at the same time?
Full replacement.
Full replacement.
Now you
I would
could
say
now if we're talking about like a sci-fi horror movie, we
Right.
run into the issue of
well, because if
there's
you
two versions of you running
exactly,
out.
and
There's an
it's
Arnold
like
Schwarzenegger
you
movie
would be
about
a
that.
different one because
Right.
nature versus nurture kind of situation.
Sure. Right.
Honestly, I understand the brain. I would not consider it to be the same you unless all your senses were the same. Because
Okay.
while your brain could be the same, if you were given colorblind eyes in your replacement,
Right. Maybe they
would
screwed
that-
something up.
Exactly, something like that. would that truly be you? Because you no longer have the same perception of the world.
That would
as
be
you did.
miserable if I got into my new body and I took a sip of coffee and I was like,
And it's not the same taste buds.
Exactly.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
I don't like coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, well, would you consider
freak
that
out.
yourself? Because it's something that,
Well,
while your brain is
yes.
thinking in the same manner, it is something about you that has
There-
been taken and
yes.
changed because of this process. And that would be the point. Like, if it was something where they could, let's say, somehow go, oh, he's getting old, reset button, so to speak.
So to speak.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
something like that.
Call it the
then I would
Phoenix
say
Project.
it would be more like, I would
Yeah.
consider that more immortality than transferring, because you would, in theory, have the same senses.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
You would
Yeah.
go, oh man, this part of me is still numb, just like it was when I was alive. Like,
Well, yeah.
That kind of
yeah,
stuff.
but sure.
that would be my personal
But you're-
opinion on
right.
immortality and
Yes.
simply having a second chance.
Right. There are big
I guess would
issues,
be a
but there are
good way to
bigger
say it.
issues than just replacing your body or making your body live
Right.
forever. It's primarily mental. So the human brain has a finite capacity for memory. So that's why we forget things as we get older.
Sure.
Like you forget things that you don't practice all the time. Like I can't tell you half the names of like the friends that I had growing up, just that are not still my friends.
Right.
Because your body lets go, your brain lets go of information
That is no longer useful.
that is no longer useful.
Yeah.
And if you can't sustain your current self for another 1,000 years, you could possibly forget your parents. You could forget where you grew up. You could forget. And that was like, people have addressed this in like sci-fi and stuff where
Yeah.
you meet somebody 1,000 years later because they did live forever. And they're like, yeah, you are like,
Yeah,
I kind of remember you, because your brain just cannot hold on to all that information. 1,000 years, 10,000 years of memories.
Could you
It's
imagine if
not
you had
possible.
a photographic memory and lived that long?
Miserable. You'd probably go mad.
You'd go
I was
insane.
going to say, I
You'd go
assume
mad.
you go insane. That's
Yeah,
a lot
and that's
of
another
memories,
issue, is
yeah.
that can your brain stay healthy forever?
Right, yeah.
Even if you're replicating cells and things like that, your consciousness, can it remain healthy forever? And
Right.
I don't think it can.
No.
I don't think you can go on for 10,000 years and not lose your mind,
Right.
or basically to end up a completely different person.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I'm a different person than I was
In my 20s.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 years ago. And I will say the same thing in another 20 years. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a very different person now. And that would maintain for 10,000 years. And so maybe Anderson Cooper, Julius Caesar became a newscaster because his
newscaster.
desires changed.
That's true.
Yeah.
Person-
He had a change of heart.
Yeah.
It's like, I tried ruling the world. Didn't go so well.
Yeah, let me try. Let me
Yeah.
talk about this other guy ruling the world and make
But,
fun of him when he does the things that I did.
Right. So
And be like, but at least he didn't get stabbed.
yeah.
Yet. They get stabbed. Well, at least he didn't get stabbed how many times? Like 30.
Yeah,
I don't
right,
even
yeah.
remember. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot.
There was, I'm trying to remember, there was a TV show.
Hold on, I just realized something
Yeah.
for the record. Once again,
What?
the not wanting to offend, because with my the whole senses of touch, because some people do get transplants and stuff like
That's
that.
true, yeah.
I'm referring to more of a full new situation,
Right,
not
yeah.
Right,
like
right,
My
right.
brain in a new body.
Exactly. Not like, I mean, if you got a heart transplant
Yeah.
or something like that. I do want, sorry,
Yeah.
I really don't want to offend anyone, because I have accidentally done that in the past.
I've never accidentally offended anybody.
Exactly. But I just want to quickly cover my base, because I'm referring to a full,
Right.
you were this,
And now you're
are
this.
Now you're this.
Yes.
The other issue that I just thought about is these are the hangups, the issues with immortality, is that, let's say you cure death.
Okay.
Did you cure aging? Did you cure
I was gonna
disease?
say, that would be my thing. I
Did
don't
you
want to be
cure
trapped
disease?
in a aging body forever.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what do you change into at that point?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
are you just alive? Are you alive forever, but you have like 10 different diseases and you just won't die?
Yeah.
Right.
You
It's
know,
like, are you
so-
living in pure agony?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where, again, we go back to this idea, kind of where we started with. where immortality is just not desirable.
No, I honestly would not want to be immortal.
Maybe an extended life where you live like younger and healthier for a little longer, but not by a ton.
Yeah.
Like,
I
honestly,
don't want to be
think-
150.
I don't want to be 150.
Honestly.
I think that's too long.
Yeah.
You know, everybody you know is already gone.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a real issue people live with. You know, when they get into their hundreds, you know, their friends, they're
Yeah.
gone. Their families, they're gone.
Yeah.
And so, and the world has changed so much. They just don't feel it. They don't feel at home anymore.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there are a lot of issues with immortality. Future shock is a real thing. Like it is a real kind of psychological condition. You know, people who were born in 1900, lived to 2000. They saw a completely different world than what they grew up with.
Yeah.
Completely different. They saw the like aviation born, television,
Computers.
computers.
Xenophobia is a real thing.
Yeah,
Like,
they went
the
from
fear of
space as a
fear of
mystery.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or fear of
xenophobia is
new-
the fear of foreigners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what am I thinking of?
What is the
I don't
fear
know,
of
but we
change?
just learned a new
But-
thing about Dan.
Yeah, xenophobia.
There's a term
Fear
for being
of
afraid of like
change.
or
I hate change personally.
Yeah, jingles in your pocket.
That was awful.
Fear
That
of
was
change
yeah.
term.
That was bad.
that's definitely not the one that I was thinking of.
Metathesiophobia. Okay, so where was I going with that? Yeah, so there are a lot of issues to overcome when it comes to immortality.
Yeah.
Which is why I think in most cases the religious concepts of immortality are much more appealing to people because you're on a new like level of consciousness. It's a new plane of existence. Bless you. It's like a new body. It's this thing that you haven't experienced yet.
Right.
And so it's much more appealing than you'll live in New York forever.
Yeah.
Like okay. So
Someone's like, you're gonna live in New York forever, but you're moving to Gotham.
yeah, exactly.
It's like, crap.
So
I'm
is-
not
is
living
there-
forever, am I?
between scientists, and some people claim that like world leaders are secretly working toward immortality. Do you think, or that the Illuminati is, because they do everything?
That's
you
true.
know,
Lizard people.
they're the scapegoat for
Yeah,
everything.
shapeshifters.
Lobster people.
Lizard people are immortal,
it's
like,
true.
but they've managed to deal with it. They evolved
Yeah.
to be immortal.
Yeah.
So, do you think there is a conspiracy between the biological side of science that's trying to achieve immortality and the technological side? Do you think that there is a conspiracy to make certain people immortal?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
I
think
think
so.
that there are people that have the assets to
Work on the issue.
work on it or attempt to do
Sure.
it because they are in a position of power that they would prefer to keep for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
and there's a reason
Like
why
Dwayne Johnson.
in every single like movie
Calling
and
out.
show and stuff like that, it's always the king. It's always
Oh, right.
the
The
person
leader,
in power.
person in power.
Yeah, Voldemort. Like
It's Voldemort.
like
He's out there and he's
the
real.
leader,
He's
like
real.
exactly, but like the leaders.
Actually,
of
it's J.K.
things that
Rowling.
are in-
Yeah. So,
but like exactly, like someone who is not in a good position in life or something like that would never say, "I want to live forever."
Right.
yep.
Like because they're
Sure.
like, "Why would I want to live in a horrible state
Yes.
forever?"
yeah.
Whereas someone who's like, "Well, I have millions of dollars
And I'm getting up there in age. And
I'm getting
I
up
don't
there
wanna
in
let
age.
go.
I want to make sure that I can run this as long as possible.
Yeah.
I am like that kind of stuff. And I do believe
Right.
that that is an actual conspiracy, that there are people genuinely working on that in both capacities
Well,
of the uploading your brain
Yes.
as well
Yes.
as biological.
And if they are, and whoever they
Philosopher
are,
or
they've hidden it very well.
elixir of
because there's no information online, at least on the internet, that you can pinpoint a specific person trying to live
something like
forever.
this, yes.
Yeah, they're doing it very secretively.
Right.
My theory, J.K. Rowling.
I thought you said Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson too. Just look at the charities or like the organizations they donate to.
Right.
If it's like biological research, and then
Sure.
it's like STEM programs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I see why you're donating all this money
Now
to
you're
these
starting to know
programs. Yeah,
conspiracy.
exactly. Yeah.
Bill Gates donates to vaccine
Billion-
research.
yes.
Is he looking for a vaccine
Yes.
into immortality?
We should do that on an episode. We create our own.
That's what I really wanna do.
conspiracy.
Oh, yes.
And
Next
I think this is
episode.
an excellent starting
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Honestly, yes.
Well, I mean, you got like Elon Musk, investing heavily in DeepMind, a project. Okay, DeepMind, and he invented Neuralink, or he helped invent Neuralink.
True. Yeah.
DeepMind and Neuralink, between the two, I think he's trying to upload his brain to a computer, which he would do.
Of
He
course.
would totally be the one to do
That's
it.
Which
probably
he
not
would
even
do.
conspiracy.
That's-
It's like, yeah, guys, I'm totally trying
I
to do
tweeted
this.
it like 10 times.
Did you think it was a joke?
It's launch a car into space and put my mind in a computer. That's my...
and then
my
send it to
two-
Mars.
yeah.
And then he's
Where I'll
eventually
pick up my
going to-
car and then I'll drive around on Mars
It's actually plot
without a
twist.
spacesuit. What?
He puts his mind into the car, and then he's a space car for the rest of his life.
He would do that.
That just
Yes,
sounds
he
cool,
would.
honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
And I think we can all agree it's all ruled by Michael Cera.
Yes. Well, that is our episode of Conspiracy Cast today. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Is immortality possible? Is it desirable? And is Michael Cera really immortal?
Is he really Hitler's mother?
He must be
Yeah.
stopped.
So you can find Dan here. Where can they find you
They
again?
can find me at Dan T Producer on Twitter and Instagram, and Dan T Streamer on Twitch.
Yes, Dan. Or Andy, whatever your name is.
You can find me on Dan T Producer.
See, he just said it, Gary.
just said
Pay
it.
attention.
Yeah, it's this immortal brain. It's glitching out a little bit.
I'm on Instagram @for I am the Andy, and that is all.
And you can find me on YouTube at Film Circuit, right here on Tales of Earth, and Twitter at Film Circuit, and Instagram. I always mess up on Instagram.
Yeah.
At Northward Films. You can also, don't forget the merch. Go buy some
Yes.
merch. This I Love the Illuminati Conspiracy Cast. Fantastic. Yeah, so all kinds of stuff. Mouse pads, pens. Thank you for watching.
I guess.
Bye.